Howdy, y'alls. I'm in between practicing, so I figured I'd add a little bit more to my California Saga. So, well, I was living in those apartments with the Vietnamese people and got rid of the Civic, and I paid off Reza. My friend that had invited me to live with that apartment, who is the leaseholder for the apartment for the 10 people in a 2-bedroom apartment, he graduated from college and he was going to move up to Washington State. So I was kind of left out in the blue, and I was borrowing my sister's car. And what I did, because she let me borrow it from her, I have skills that I developed when I was a teenager. I rubbed out the paint on that 73 Volvo, and it looked like a brand new paint job. There's something about the paint that they used on those cars that was really easy to detail out. I had no spider webs or nothing. It was perfect because I did everything by hand. And my sister was still letting me borrow her car. Well, so my friend moved, and then I ended up moving to live with that Vietnamese family for a short while. They let me borrow their car for a little bit. And then things just kind of started to I don't know, not fall apart, but things got kind of mishmashed. And I ended up, well, I had promised to live with some other Vietnamese people, but they were partiers and band members, and they lived the nomad lifestyle. And so my mom had rented an apartment down in Costa Mesa. So she asked me to come and help with the bills, which I moved in with my mom, literally, because I wasn't really making it. And I was also still have my sister's car, so it was easy to move. So I was in the apartment with my mom, and I had changed jobs to working at Mervyn's. I had worked at Mervyn's before, and they're out of business now. They got bought out by Dayton Hudson. And while Dayton Hudson owned Target and Mervyn's, and they were both competitors. And so Mervyn's was on its way out because its business model was going away. So anyway, I ended up working at Mervyn's, and I was driving from Costa Mesa up to Anaheim, the Anaheim Mall, to go to work. Well, I was driving up to, before I moved out of the apartment complex, I'm getting my orders out of the way. So at the apartment complex, just before we had to move, it was dark, it was night. And I was sitting on the front stoop, just having a cigarette, minding my own business, and I got the aluminum taste, like something's gonna happen. So I'm sitting there, and I'm kind of on guard, and I watch a guy walk past, and he drops a gun. I'm like, oh shit, excuse the French, but oh crap. And I'm sitting between two bushes, and I know that he didn't see me, and he probably smoked or something because he couldn't smell me smoking. So he walked past, and then this big Cadillac pulled up, and this white little car pulled up, and the Cadillac blocked the little car, and another car blocked the little white car. So you had the Cadillac and the white car. In this other car, it happened so fast, it was kind of, I was just watching the colors of the cars and stuff like that. And the lady got out of the car, and they started to get into a swirly world fight of some sort, wrestling match. It wasn't a fist fight. So I'm just sitting there and waiting for everything to stop. The best thing to do is in a situation like that is if nobody sees you and nobody knows you're there, stay put. Because they aren't going to notice you because they're paying attention to everything else. So, everything kind of dispersed, and I split back into the house and called the police. I'm like, hey, something's going on out here, you know. So the police showed up, and the Cadillac had done a reverse New York parallel parking thing and was still parked there. Well, the thing was, the people that I saw, the guy that I saw was more Native American looking. He had dark skin, straight black hair, and he had an Indian build. I don't know, a Native American build. And so, and his body language was Native American. So, he split, and then the cops came, and then everything kind of settled out. And then I was a witness to whatever happened, and that was the end of it. So anyway, I ended up moving to that family with the Vietnamese family. I only stayed there a couple of months, and then my mom needed help, so I moved into her apartment, which was it was a converted hotel room in Costa Mesa, which was actually pretty nice. So anyway, I was borrowing my sister's car and driving up to Anaheim from Costa Mesa to go work at Mervyn's. Because I'd worked at Mervyn's 2 or 3 times. Quit and come back, quit, come back. And I was going through Garden Grove, and I was at a stoplight, went through an intersection, and turned right to go into a gas station. Well, some Vietnamese guy hit the rear fender of my sister's car on his bike. So I got out and I started speaking Vietnamese to him, and his eyes got really big. He got really scary. Really scared because he wasn't quite sure what was going on. Well, he knew what he was doing. I wasn't sure what was going on. So I got out there, and as soon as I talked to him, he said, "You give me $100 and I'll let you go." I'm like, I have no money. Period. So he had a little scout friend go up and call the cops. So the cops came, and well, my sister's car did not have insurance, and it's the weirdest thing. I don't know why in California they let this happen, but he gave me a ticket. They didn't tow the car, and I was able to go to work. So it was kind of like funky. Well, and I forgot another story. One of the Vietnamese guys that lived at the apartment, he was ex-South Vietnamese Army. Happy-go-lucky, drunk, girls, and all that stuff. And he had this little Mustang 2 that the transmission was going out on. And he's all, hey, you come with me, we go down to Little Saigon, and we'll force somebody to rear end me, and you can make 10 grand right there. And he said it so casually, it's like something he did every day, and I'm like, well, this is a different world. Of course, I declined on that. So anyway, it was kind of hectic. Then, I went to work at Mervyn's, and was going back to work, and I don't know, it was like 6 or 7 months later, I got a call at work at Mervyn's to my cashier's desk where I was working. And it was a detective of some sort. He goes, "Did you know there's a subpoena out for your arrest?" And I'm like, "No," because I've been driving back and forth to work for 6 months or something like that. And he goes, "Yeah, well, in the meantime from the robbery, I had gotten into that traffic accident with the Vietnamese guy, and the cop let me go, and then I get a call from a detective who's, with the state saying, "Did you know this?" And I'm like, "No." Well, the Vietnamese family that I had lived with had somebody in the family had signed the subpoena, accepted the subpoena, and signed for me, for my name. And he says, "Well, you signed the subpoena." And I'm like, "No, I did not." He says, "Well, if you don't want to go to jail, you need to show up and witness for this case." In the meantime, the family of the Vietnamese guy calls me up because they got my number, and they said, "Can you pay? Do you have any way to pay for this stuff? Because if you can't, we can take care of that." And I'm like in panic mode because I'm in college, and I told them I have nothing, which was true. I mean, I'm not trying to get out of any responsibility or anything like that, and I'm trying to protect my sister also from getting in trouble for not having insurance on the car. So, oh my gosh, I told them, I said, "You can have my pencils and pens and whatever I've got in the apartment. You can have all of that." And they were understanding because I think they kind of knew that the scam was not going to work. It's my phone. So anyway, I'm under stress from that, and then at work I get this call that I need to show up for a court case. So I followed the instructions, and they wanted me to be a witness. Well, the defense attorney, or I'm not sure who it was. It was one of the prosecuting attorney or the defense attorney. They all play buddy for you when they want you to play their game and all that stuff. And I'm like, I was just sitting on the porch. So anyway, these guys, the court date comes up. Well, it was a week or 2 weeks before. I was supposed to go to a lineup to identify this person. And, it was nighttime and everything like that. So, they had me walk past I was outside on the sidewalk. They had me walk past this place where there was glass and a bunch of people standing in line to go to chow or whatever. And the attorney that was with me said, "Do you recognize anybody in that line?" And I'm like, "No," because I didn't. So anyway, I didn't make any connections with anything like that, and we went up, and he BS'd me back and forth, making buddy, and I'm like, okay, I got other things to do, because this was something that was supposed to be over with. My claim to fame, I had a $150,000 warrant out for my arrest at the time that the Vietnamese guy had hit the back of my sister's car. So I don't know why I didn't go to jail or something like that. It was just the weirdest thing. So, I did eventually lose my license for 4 years. California, if you're going from home to work, they let you work. So, we ended up in trial, and I'm sitting there in the witness booth. I got signed in and everything like that, and did the oath and everything. And I'm sitting there, and the judge is sitting up here, and I look over, and he's got the stuff on his desk or his podium or whatever. He's got stuff from Nature Company, and I'm like, "Hey, I know what that stuff is." He's like, "You're not supposed to talk to me," and I'm like, "Well, sorry, but I'm not a pro at this." So I just sat there, and the trial came up, and I'm supposed to be a witness, and they brought up this guy who they were trying to accuse of doing the robbery. Well, he looked like a Spaniard, a Latino East uh, Eastern or Western Asia look. He had curly hair, black mustache, um, and olive skin. And they asked me if that was the guy, and I'm like, no, you got the wrong guy. The guy that I saw, who had the gun, was dark skin, straight black hair, and I just gave him a full description. And it was weird because of the way it worked out, because the judge seemed to know that I was being played as a pawn. And he knew that there was a $150,000 warrant out for my arrest. And one of the attorneys asked me a question about why I was there. And I looked at the judge and I said, you all know why I'm here. I'm not here because I want to be here, you know. And then I turned back because I wasn't supposed to talk to the judge, but I mean, I was incredulous. You know why I'm here. I'm not here to do this. So anyway, went through all the rest of the blah blah blah, and before I got off the testifying stand, the judge goes, "We're not bringing this one back." And I'm like, "Cool." That was the end of it. So anyway, I lost my driver's license. I had a $150,000 warrant out for my arrest. I wish I could have a poster of it, you know, I mean, a cowboy hat and to my 6 shooters. So anyway, okay, I'm dealing with that. That passes. The Vietnamese guy pulling the scam, that passes. Everything like that. And I transferred from the Anaheim Mervyns down to the Irvine Mervyns. So, in the meantime, one of our neighbors at the apartment had a 1974 Ford Pinto that he had to get rid of because he had issues. And it was a nice car. So I bought my 74 Pinto for $600. Passed smog, ran great. It got crappy gas mileage for a 4-cylinder, but I fixed that. Now, the Pinto's a long time car of mine. I still own it. So anyway, I'm going through Irvine in a bright orange Pinto that's real shiny. It's got big tires in the back and skinnies in the front, and I've got one of the first generation Flowmaster mufflers on it, which is actually louder inside the car than outside the car, but it still sounded cool. So I went through the noise shock for the first 2 weeks that I drove it with that muffler on there. So anyway, I'm driving through Irvine. I can't remember the name of the streets, but I got off the freeway, got down to the street where I needed to turn, and turned left. And here I'm in my Pinto in an Irvine PD. Drives right straight past me. And he looks at me like, you know, cat caught the mouse. Well, I'm doing nothing. I'm driving the speed limit. Yeah, I'm doing nothing. And I know, crap. Oh, and I turned right on a street called McGaw. That's the only street I remember. So I turned right on McGaw, but I knew that he was going to come around and get me. So as soon as I saw his nose poke around the corner, I pulled over. Rolled down my window, shut the car off, put my keys on the roof. That's my habit. And he comes up and I'm like, "Can I help you?" Mode. You know, I'm got my hands on the steering wheel. I'm making sure that, you know, because the Pinto does not fit into Irvine. And a hot rod Pinto even less fits into Irvine. So he asked me what I'm doing. I'm like, "I'm going to work. I work at Mervyn's just over here." And he said, you know, he asked me for all my paperwork, and my license is suspended. And of course, I have insurance on the car and everything like that, but there was no reason for him to pull me over. The only reason is he pulled me over was because my car didn't fit the profile of an Irvine car. So here I am, I've gone through all this other stress, and then I got this cop um, bothering me. He wasn't harassing me. He was just doing what Irvine cops do at that time. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, this is totally messed up. No, I was thinking something else, but that's the politically correct word. So I'm sitting there in the car and I wasn't going to sign the ticket. And then I didn't yell at him or anything like that. I was like, I have been through this, 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 and this. I've done volunteer work with the Vietnamese community. I've done everything I can to straighten out everything that's going along. And then you pull me over for no reason. And he was, he was seriously listening to me. And my gripes were legitimate. I'm like, look, I'm trying to go to work. You're stopping me for no reason. I've gone through all of this stuff. And, court case, Vietnamese guy, and, all this stuff going on. And I'm like, I'm on the edge here. So when you get done, I need to get out of my car. And I need to get the VIN number of your car. I need to get the serial number from your pistol. And I need to make sure that everything about you is correct. Because if you don't have everything correct, if your pistol's not signed out, if your gear in the trunk of your car is not signed out, well, you're going to get in trouble too. I was totally calm. I was like, at the end of having to put up with this horse pucky of the state, and I'm doing everything I can to do it, and I keep getting bonked and bonked and bonked and bonked. So he let me go, no ticket, even though I signed it. I didn't get a ticket. I didn't get anything to my address or anything. And then, I went to work to Mervin's, and I was still on time. So that was another part of my saga. It's just like things getting complicated, more and more complicated, the more I try to advance. But the thing is, in Irvine, we were in Costa Mesa at that time. That was after I lived in Irvine. It just kept going and going and going. I'm not going to give up. I don't have any choice. So anyway, that's the second part of my California, or second or third part of my California saga. Just trying to survive. And I just realized that my speaker's way down here, so you guys are going to have to turn up the volume. I'm sorry. So anyway, that's my other installment of the California story. I probably need to bring my mic up here. I'll listen to it and see how it sounds. So anyway, there's more. Just crazy. Anyway, have a good day. Talk to you later. Bye.